I I don't have any direct background in this. I'm really a hacker who loves to learn and loves to research and loves psychedelics.
Don't miss psychedelic pioneer Dennis McKenna and the leading thinkers in today's psychedelic sciences at the Portland Psychedelic Conference 2018. Tickets are moving fast and will sell out. Don't miss your chance. Get your ticket today.
So, my favorite experience report that I've heard, there was a facilitator that did some work with this gentleman in his 40s. He says, so he had a single session with him beforehand, about 2 to 3 hours, set some intentions, decide what they were going to work on, and then their one session. After that, I finally feel like me. After 46 years on this planet, I finally feel like I belong in this life and in this skin. I finally get it. You have no idea what it's been like. 9 months later, it's been over 9 months, and I've been off antidepressants. I've never been happier. Thanks to so-and-so, today is the first day of another year that I'm thrilled to be living. That night last April was the most important night of my life. I have remained transformed. It's now been about 16 months after the single session. He is still, at that same level that he was. He feels that the change has persisted. No desire to be on antidepressants. No feeling of lack in his life. So yeah, that was a good one. Other experience reports, some would say, it was like 10 hours of pure enlightenment. It feels like an ascended state. Better than toad, says the toad shaman. Peak psychedelic experience, says 100-plus trip ayahuascaran. Brought me out of what felt like a hopeless depression in only the first few hours, then gave me one of the most profoundly deep healing experiences of my life, 6 to 7 hours in. I've experienced 3 births so far, my birth, the birth of my child, and this. And finally, it has been the most psychedelic, heart-opening, slate-cleaning experience to date. And it's worth mentioning that most of these people, even the people who aren't these two, are very experienced. Pretty much no one who isn't really very experienced finds themselves having this experience. It requires an advanced user, I'll say. And there's one other really funny story. So I'm not going to name names, and I'm not going to name the book, but one of my favorite stories is a friend of mine ended up taking the medicine with 2 other friends. And one of them was being really annoying, just annoying everyone, kind of in his head, couldn't really drop in with the group. Everyone's trying to have their own experience, and he's like, hey guys, hey, what's going on? Let's talk. And so to try to placate him, my friend gave him a pen and said, here, go write some stuff down. So he starts writing. He happens to be a pretty brilliant guy. He wrote about 5 pages or so, and it ended up being this kind of manifesto. After about 1.5 years or so, he had turned this 5 pages into 400 pages, and it ended up being a book, which got published, and it was the #1 bestseller on Amazon for at least 20 weeks. It's interesting what can happen. And it's not all good at all. Some people have really terrible experiences, just awful. There's one example of a father. This first example is a father and a daughter who were trying to heal some deep trauma from the past. And they're in this experience and they're purging all over each other and they're apologizing to one another. And then the father gets on all fours and starts growling and roaring and channeling this lion spirit. And that lasted about 2 hours. Then they both had headaches and felt terrible for the rest of the day. Didn't really feel good for a couple days. But the shaman did say that there did appear to be some powerful healing. They affectionately referred to it as Drano. Another experience report, I literally hugged the toilet for over 6 hours, just dry retching, praying for it to be over. But it wasn't done for over 24 hours. My partner enjoyed it though, and it felt good to have him be there for me through what felt like hell. I had head and body aches that lasted for days. It's worth mentioning that she did not eat for 16 hours before her experience, And that is most likely related just because the body needs some fortification if you're going to be like doing this all night thing, right? And then finally, this is my favorite, and I have no explanation for this. Best psychedelic state I've ever experienced, hands down. But then I lost the use of my right hand and spent thousands of dollars in a few weeks getting it back. I don't know why that happened, but some kind of like energy, like moving into her hand, I don't know. But she's fine now, everything's great. And there's been no reports of anything remotely like that since. So, weird.